Hello and welcome. Today we have a very interesting theory. The strange theory of Julian Jaynes, how ancient minds may have worked before modern consciousness. Julian Jaynes argued that ancient human beings may not have experienced self-aware inner thoughts the way we do today. Instead, their minds worked in a radically different way. Rather than limiting himself to laboratory data, Jaynes drew on archaeological findings, epic poetry, religious texts, and neurology. He suggested that the origins of the modern mind could be traced through language and myth, turning history into a laboratory for psychology. Jaynes claimed that early humans did not possess an inner voice or reflection. The two hemispheres of the brain functioned more separately, producing auditory commands that were perceived as coming from outside the self. People literally heard guidance from gods, ancestors, or spirits, and this experience structured their societies. According to this theory, decision-making was not the product of private reasoning but of a ritual or externalized instruction. Ancient epics and early laws are full of characters who act after receiving divine voices or omens. This was not metaphorical, Jaynes argued, but reflected a different mental architecture in which the self had not yet become an inner narrator. Roughly 3,000 years ago, growing social complexity, urbanization, and crisis created pressures that the old bicameral mind could no longer manage. Out of this upheaval, humans began to develop introspection, deliberate planning, and an inner dialogue. Myth and scripture from this period preserve traces of that profound change. Jaynes' theory opens new ways to interpret religion, mental illness, and the history of ideas. Even today, neuroscientists and philosophers debate his claims, which remain as provocative as ever. If Jaynes is even partly right, then our familiar sense of I is not the original human condition, but a relatively recent achievement. Understanding its origins could change how we view free will, identity, and the possibility of future shifts in consciousness.